way to reflect on that than to hear directly from one of our clients. And so please join me in welcoming Josie Abboud to the stage. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. All right. Hello, Kansas City, and hello to Cerner around the globe. It is an honor to be here with you today at the Cerner Town Hall. Thank you, Brent, for that introduction. It's a special day for Cerner, so I'm very honored to be here. Let's get started and just talk about, first of all, where is Omaha, Nebraska? So for those of you that don't know, you can see we are smack dab in the center of the country, and we're very proud to be there. Now, my journey to Omaha, Nebraska, and then to where I work today actually starts in Arizona. That's actually where I'm from. Grew up in Tempe, Arizona. I met my husband at the University of Arizona in Tucson. He actually was from Omaha, so I suppose you'd say love brought me to Omaha. But I've been there 25 years now. We have 2 children, teenagers, so I'm in that phase of my life. Teenagers, Omaha is a wonderful place to live, and it's a wonderful place to work. So my journey at Methodist began actually in 1996 as a critical care staff nurse working the 12-hour night shift. So let me just tell you, our relationship with Cerner also began in 1996, and we were using the laboratory and pharmacy modules. And if you can recall, at that time in healthcare, that's when physicians came around to see the patients, and we had flip charts right outside the patient room. They wrote their orders on a piece of paper, they folded it into a triangle, they set the chart on its side so it stuck out, and then the unit secretaries came around to see that, oh, someone put in an order, so then they would transcribe it into what we called our medical information system, the MIS system. They inputted the order, nurses checked it, signed off on it, and then care was delivered to patients. I'd say we've come a long way. You all are part of Cerner. We're integrated clinically. We have revenue cycle, and there are so many things that we do, and we are so grateful for that. So from a staff nurse position, I actually have held many roles at Methodist, to a charge nurse, to a supervisor and service leader of 2 of our inpatient care units, cardiovascular, pulmonary, and intermediate care. And then I actually went to the ambulatory side. I went to our Methodist Estherbrook Cancer Center and started a multidisciplinary lung cancer clinic with a whole team of people. Not long after that, I became what was called the service executive of Methodist Estherbrook Cancer Center and Oncology Services. And then a few years later, I was promoted to vice president of ancillary and professional services. So not only did I have the oncology service line, but now the industries and services of laboratory, pharmacy, imaging, contracts, hospital-based clinics, et cetera. And then years later, I was promoted to executive vice president and chief operating officer, and then last year was named to the honor of president and CEO of Methodist Hospital and Methodist Women's Hospital. So I've held a lot of roles in that time. I've seen a lot of change, I've lived through a lot of change, and I know there's more change to come. It's sort of my promise, right, that I will embrace that change. And I think that's important because my promise is so much like the Cerner promise. Healthcare is too important to stay the same. It's difficult sometimes, but yet it's so important. And that brings me to Methodist Health System. Our health system has 4 hospitals: Methodist Hospital, Methodist Women's Hospital in Omaha. We have Methodist Jenny Edmondson Hospital in Council Bluffs, Iowa. And we have Methodist Fremont Health in Fremont, Nebraska. We also have a Methodist Physicians Clinic. And we employ about 500 providers. We have nearly 8,000 staff. We have 30 plus clinics across our area. And guess what? You all play a role in that. You keep us connected in that network. We are partners. Methodist and Cerner have been together since 1996, and I see much more in our future. So where is it exactly that we partner together? There are so many things that I could put on the list. I'm going to talk about 3 here: quality, transparency, reliability, value-based care. We also have consumerism. All right, how can all of you here at Cerner influence these trends? Well, let's talk about protocol adherence. At the hospital, we have many protocols that we follow. Obviously, whether it's a surgical protocol, treatment protocol, a medication protocol, it's very important that we do that. I know that you all here at Cerner, you have protocols that you must follow too. So I want to share a story with you. A few months ago, Cerner actually went down at our system. So it was in the morning, and the dreaded text comes, and the overhead announcement that Cerner is down. Please implement downtime procedures. Oh, you can imagine. And I thought to myself, oh, I've got to get to the doctor's lounge, right? Because as a leader, got to take on the challenges, the frustrations, you got to hear it all. What I learned was, what happened was we were taking a reboot, but whoever was supposed to be handling that did not follow protocol. They actually did it manually instead of letting the system do that in its automated process. That caused us to go down. That day at Methodist, we had about 100 surgeries planned. So I go into the doctor's lounge just expecting to see you know what, but actually I was very unexpectedly surprised. The TV was on, CNBC was up, people were reading the newspaper, they were toasting bagels, they were talking. And I said, what's going on? And they said, well, you know Cerner's down, right? And I said, yes, but we're supposed to be in downtime procedures. And they said, we're not going to paper. Oh my goodness. Years ago, you know in the history, we had to go to CPOE, right? And there was a lot of pushback then. Why are we going to go electronic? We should do everything on paper. Well, now look at what you've done. You've changed the attitude. There was no pushback. I got pushback for even talking about paper. So you think about the impact that you have. You know, when you all are working to create a system that is reliable, that's stable for us, we can provide high quality care. We have transparency all around. It's a success for us. So that day, yes, eventually Cerner came up. We were about 2 hours delayed in getting through all of our surgeries, but there's something I want you to think about. So when I said there was an overhead announcement, imagine with 100 surgeries planned that day, plus we had people inpatient, already inpatient beds. We have a lot of patients, families, visitors, etc. So they hear the overhead announcement too. So if your loved one was there having surgery and you heard, Cerner is down, please implement downtime procedures, your first question is, well, so what is Cerner? And then when you find out it's our electronic record, you start to worry about, well, if that's down, what else is down in this hospital? So very much so, you impact that, and that's a place where you can influence. Let's talk about value-based care, right? Everybody wants our data. The government wants our data. Medicare, Medicaid, our commercial payers want our data. We have value-based contracts with our payers. We want our data. We want to see how well we're doing. We manage our employees' health. At the same time, we want to know what's coming out of there. But we need your help. We know you can influence how we get that data out of our system. We need more natural language processing on the inpatient side. We need to be able to share that information. I was meeting with one of our ED physicians last week, Dr. Quinn, and he was telling me that we are seeing quite a bit more patients from a competitor system in our market. And of course, they use another electronic record that starts with an E. And he talked about how that's such a challenge. And I said, yes, I mean, great that we're seeing these patients. Why are they choosing us? And he said, well, I think it's because it's easier to get through our ED process. And I said, well, tell me about the challenge. And he said, well, when all their physicians are obviously in the other system, and I'm trying to understand what's going on with this patient, I don't have access to the record. Now, I have to say, I commend Cerner in this space because you all have Commonwealth. And Commonwealth allows for the other system's information to come into our Cerner system. And you've been trailblazers. You've persevered. You're pushing for, we need that so that we deliver better care. Now, our Chief Medical Information Officer, Dr. Greg Huttiger, he's been using Commonwealth so that we're working through the kinks before we roll it all out. But he says it could still be better. So while it's great that all that data comes in, he's overwhelmed by the amount of data that comes in. He needs ways to filter through that data so that the care that we deliver can be more timely. You're not so overwhelmed when that patient comes in. So think about that when you're trying to figure out how do we make this better for our client. That's a great example. What about consumerism? Innovation. You know, people shop for their healthcare like we shop for cars. You want to know the price, you want to know what features, what quality, et cetera. They're doing the same thing in the healthcare space. So we need to be partners in how we innovate here. When we talk about innovation, and when I heard the news today, wow, is that fact or is that phooey? Amazon and Cerner, I think a round of applause is due here. Those of us in the healthcare environment, on the provider side, delivering care side, you know, we're medical professionals. We're not so tech savvy, we're not so innovative in that world, but we can partner together. We can partner together so that Cerner and Methodist can figure out how do we differentiate ourselves from our competition, right? Because at the end of the day, we do want to be better. So what does that mean? On the Cerner side, how do you influence that? Live your mission. There's no question, relentlessly seek breakthrough innovation that will shape healthcare of tomorrow. That's how we're going to do this together. It's an exciting time. There's so many advances that are taking place. Cerner, you're a big corporation. You're a beautiful corporation, beautiful campuses. You make the delivery of care to patients so much easier. And if there's anything that you take away from today, it's that I want you to know how much you make a difference. Yesterday in some of our talks, the leaders would stand up from Cerner and they would say, yes, if you use this tool, if you use this technology, it's actually forward-facing for your customer and your client. We're in the back. And I think, gosh, that's kind of a misnomer. Because you say you're in the back, but I'll tell you, you're in the front. You're very much a part of delivering care to patients as those of us that actually touch the patient. Because there is not a patient interaction in which Cerner is not present, whether that's on the outpatient side or on the inpatient side. We're proud to have Cerner as our partner. So when your day gets long here at work and you're thinking, gosh, we're not solving anything, this is such a roadblock, this is hard, this is a mountain to climb, just remember this. All of the progress you make allows us to be successful as well. Okay, so you make a difference, we make a difference, and when we make a difference, it means we're better able to care for you if you're our patient, to care for your spouse, your loved one, your children, your parents. And so if you're making a difference, we're making a difference, guess what? Let's be partners and make a difference in this together. We are proud of our partnership with Cerner, and we look forward to the future because we know that there is still so much yet to come. So thank you for your time this morning. It's been a pleasure to be here.